Katemadethis. I am Emily Kate and I'm coming to you from Berlin in Germany. A very, very sunny Germany. Welcome to my knitting and sewing and general crafty YouTube channel. Here we talk about what I'm knitting on, what I have finished, sometimes sewing but not always, and general crafting if I've got up to anything else. You can find me on Instagram and a coffee, and I think that's about all my social media heights, as emilykatemadethis. Today is a bit of a potentially chaotic one, but then again I think I am quite a chaotic person. I have just witnessed this glorious sunshine and thought I must record now, because generally this time of year we don't get that much sun. And I thought now is the time. So I'm not really prepared at all, but I thought I'm going to use this time with the sunshine to record. So I'll have some tea, then I will talk about one finished object, which if you were here last time, you will know what that is, and one work in progress, because I'm basically only working religiously on one project in the optimistic hope that I can finish it in 1 week and 4 days. Don't hold me to that, not sure that's gonna happen, but you know, we have to have a challenge, don't we? And then my mum visited me last week, so there's a little bit of, it's not really acquisitions as such, but new things that have come into my life that I think would be of interest to you. They're very interesting to me, at least. I like watching what other people receive into their lives, whether through purchasing or being gifted them. Of which I also have some happy mail I wanted to show you, because I feel very loved. So let's crack on with it, shall we? So just before I talk about my finished object, I will mention what I'm wearing, because it is amazing, if I do say so myself. This was last year's Christmas jumper that I knitted just in the nick of time. I finished it, I think it was the 18th or the 19th of December that I finished it, and I wore it to a friend's house for the 4th Advent. This is the Festive Yoke Pullover by Skeindeer Knits. Skeindeer? Oh gosh. By Skeindeer Knits, I'm pretty sure. Here it is. I'll just lift it up. I can't go further back because there is a box behind my chair, so hopefully you saw that. This one was knitted in... How could I forget? It's Swedish. You know me, I'm obsessed. This was Ullcentrum 2-ply Swedish wool, and the white is BC Garn I can never say this. Semilla, Melange. And they're actually different weights of yarn, but I think they work really well together. And I love this jumper. I do remember it fitting a lot better, but I don't think I understand fit at all. All of my clothes are a completely different fit, so it fits the best, I would say, out of my majority of my jumpers, but it is a bit high in the neck and low in the back, even though there are short rows. And I do find that it do have a lot of bunching, but I think that's just a circular yoke. I'm not really very knit savvy. I'm not really sure when something is the perfect fit, but it feels very nice, it's warm, it's lightweight, it fits under a coat. It's so happy, so festive. I love it. What else do I have to say? Any details you can find on my Ravelry, because I did... Oh gosh, I'm really hoping I did update that. I've been a little bit better updating my Ravelry recently. This was last year. This sun is heating me up. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get through the whole video in my glorious jumper, but let's see. I don't remember the needles or anything, but it should be on my Ravelry. And anything I talk about will be linked below, and links to my Ravelry and projects and stuff will be there as well. Okay, my finished object is a pair of mittens. I did one mitten last time, and now I have finished them and blocked. Thank goodness for blocking. Blocking is the best thing. Thing, not thing. Ta-da! We have a pair of finished mittens. These are the Christmas Pudding Mitts by Stone Knits. I did adjust the pattern. The original pattern is a pair of fingerless mitts, so it would look more like that. Which are adorable. It's just I have no circulation in my hands, basically. So when it gets about 6 degrees, I can't feel my fingers anymore. So the mittens have to go on, and then I have to have covered fingers. Otherwise they just have no sensation whatsoever. And so I made them covered. I didn't really follow a pattern or anything. I just winged it and just did some decreases and bound off at the top. I think, yes, I made it a little bit like if you do a hat, you put the needle through and then pull it tight. And does that make sense? Doesn't really matter. But they're finished. I also used BC Garn, Semilla, Melange for this, and it was the complete wrong gauge. For some reason I thought, actually no, I can tell you the reason. The weight of this yarn is 350 meters per 100 grams, which generally, when I knit with yarn like that, I do get a fingering weight gauge. But when I looked at the label for this, it recommended you use 4.5 to 5 millimeter needles, and that is not what I used. I used 2.25, so it's a very dense fabric, and it was getting very bulky. And I was using leftover scraps. I've got some old West Yorkshire Spinners yarn in there, the green. I have some old Spindrift, and these are completely different gauges, so the whole thing was all over the place, and I nearly ripped them out because I thought it's never going to fit because it was so big and so bulky. But in the end I thought, they're festive mittens, it's fine, I'll only wear them for a small period of time if they don't work out. So I blocked one before starting the second one, and I just pulled it like this when it came out of the blocking water and pinned it and stretched it, and it fits. It's not like the most perfect fit you'll ever have, but it's grand, not a bother to me. It rises up a little bit here. I think if it was the correct gauge on a fingering weight yarn, I wouldn't have had that problem, and that would be equal, and this wouldn't have been a problem. But when I have a coat on, it really isn't. I have to take my jumper off. I am so hot. Quick wardrobe change into a shirt that isn't even ironed. That's nice. Yes. Adjust the camera. I look like I've fallen down a hole. Back to the mittens. Yes, that's basically all I needed to say. I changed the pattern so they cover my fingers. The yarn blocked out nicely. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you do that, but it worked out really nicely for me. I wanted to use this really lovely coloured wool that I don't think is showing up the right colour. It's really soft, it's really warm, and I needed warm mittens. Last year I had mittens, but they were, I still have them, they are sock yarn because I accidentally made the cuff of my sock too tight, so I had to emergency change them into mittens, and I wore those last year, and they're warmish, but they could definitely be warmer. Sometimes it gets to about -15 here in Germany in the winter, and sock yarn just didn't cover it. So enter the woolly wolves. And they're delightful, and they're very happy, and they're going to match my jumper, and kind of, my jumper's very like ugly Christmas jumper vibes, but delightful nonetheless, and my socks. So that's my finished object. My work in progress is actually attached to 2 yarn balls in 2 yarn bowls, so this will be interesting. Gently does it. Okay, I can't open it up for you to see because it's on a small cable and I'm in the middle of knitting, so you can use your imagination. My mum came to visit, as I said, and she was an absolute legend, and she knitted my welt, which is the ribbing at the bottom of a vintage jumper. It's about 3 inches, which I've already forgotten what that is in centimeters. It is about 8 centimeters of ribbing that my mum lovingly knitted. We did run into a slight problem, and I'm still a little bit confused on the whole math side of this. Basically, I knitted the arms and I used my gauge to guesstimate how many stitches that she would need to cast on, and then discovered that her ribbing is not only very neat but very tight. So when I knitted rib, 1 by 1 rib on 3mm needles, I got 7 stitches in 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch. My mum, however, gets 10 stitches on 3mm needles, which is a significant difference. So when she was knitting it, it looked very small. And I'm not using the same numbers that are in the pattern, which I haven't even mentioned. It's the bunny ears jumper, or here, I don't know where I'm putting it. Bunny ears jumper, it's a vintage knitting pattern, and I'm adjusting it to my yarn, so the size is different. I'm using my gauge to work it out, but in this case, my mum's gauge. So we thought it was going to be too small. It was going to be something like 21-inch waist in my dreams. So then she ended up using 3.25mm needles and doing the actual stitch count in the jumper. I'm knitting it in the round for the body up until the armpits, then I'll go flat. Mainly because it's a colourwork, all over colourwork jumper. And although I am fine to attempt to dip my toes into flat colourwork, not for an all-over jumper, not yet. So up the top, assuming I don't run out of any of the yarn, I will do that all flat. And I've done 1 shoulder of my jumper, but the body, no. So she casted on 240 stitches and knitted 1 by 1 rib for 8 centimeters. Bless her cotton socks. And then I've been knitting and thinking, and then I had to adjust my stitch count. So I've kept at 3. Then I've gone to 3.5mm needles. The pattern doesn't recommend any of these needles. I'm pretty sure it's the usual standard 3.75. For most knitting patterns that are vintage seem to just 3.75. I am doing 3.5, and I did not do the increases that it suggested. So it tells me to increase a certain amount and I'll get to something like 260 stitches. Obviously my gauge is different, so I did not increase. However, I have made it so that the body, I won't be doing any increases, so no shaping. It might be a bit big, but I don't think it'll be a problem. I feel like I have so much I want to say and should have said before I started saying what I'm saying. Basically, vintage knitting patterns are generally negative ease or 0 ease, but I seem to keep making jumpers that are either massive or too small, so I was aiming for a middle ground. And because of complications and confusions with my mum's gauge, it kind of threw me off a little bit. So I didn't want to decrease after the ribbing because generally you do the opposite in a vintage pattern, and I was just getting a bit confused, to be honest, so I just kept the needles and stitch count as it was, and instead of doing any increases I just left it, which does mean, going by my gauge, I should have about 30-inch waist on the jumper, which is 30, no, don't have a 15-inch waist, about 76 centimeters of jumper. And my waist fluctuates constantly, so it could actually be fine, but usually I make it 0 ease or negative and it fits like a glove, and this one's going to be a bit baggy, so I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I'm not doing increases, so it should still be negative ease or 0 ease around the bust, and I can adjust the stitch count so that it's fitted at the top, so the top part shouldn't be a problem. I'm just a little bit nervous if it's going to be a bit baggy around the waist, but I don't think it will be a problem, hopefully. Shall I show you my progress? And as I said, it's on smaller needles, so it is bunched up. I could be worrying for no reason, it could just be a perfect fit. Just a little nervous. Yeah, my waist can be 27 inches or it can be 30 inches in one day. I just get bigger and smaller, day in, day out. So maybe at some point in the day it will fit perfectly. I have to double check how long I'm knitting this for. The gauge only tells me, to my memory, the stitch gauge, which is on the pattern 34 stitches to 10 centimeters or 4 inches, and I'm getting 32 stitches. Yes, I'm knitting an entire jumper at 32 stitches to 10 centimeters, 4 inches. Am I crazy? Yes, yes I am. But at least it's not 34 stitches. But it has meant it's a bit slow going, but not in a bad way. It's just I'm nervous I'm not going to finish it in time to go to the UK. I was going to say to the England. To England or to the UK? I don't need to finish it by then. I just thought it would be fun to have finished it by then. But it's okay. I have my jumper from last year, so it's fine. Well, if I keep on track, I may just finish, but I get the feeling, as I mentioned last time, once I separate and have to knit flat, that's when it is going to slow down. Because me and purling is slower, just a little bit, my purling is slower, but when it comes to colour work, then it's a lot slower because I'm really focusing on which colour, which row, and you have to read it backwards, and of course backwards it looks like this and you can't read it the same as here, so it just takes me a little longer. But I am unsure if I'll have enough yarn to do this section because I only have 2 balls and they're 50-gram balls for the entire body and sleeves. So I'm not 100% certain about that either, but I don't really mind. I know it sounds chaotic and stressful, but it's actually totally fine. I still have 1 month and a bit till actual Christmas, so maybe by then, maybe. I will also show you 3 little fun things. This is kind of part of my happy mail, but seeing as it's here, I'll show it to you. Don't know if you want me to say who you are, so you know who you are, and thank you very much. But my lovely knitting friend sent me these adorable stitch markers. Aren't they the cutest thing? And some cute little snowflake stitch markers. Or, yeah, stitch markers. And she sent me some other little goodies, but those I stored away somewhere. I'm storing my sleeves inside the other present she sent me, which is so sweet. That's the wrong side. How adorable is this project bag? So my lovely, oh hello Mr. Postman. My lovely, lovely sleeves are in here. I have made a bit of a faux pas. I made one sleeve and blocked it, and it's grand. Shall I? Hopefully it will fit over this shirt. Here is sleeve number 1. I knitted this in the round up until here, obviously, and I don't know what I was doing. I get a bit confused when it comes to in getting sleeve colourwork to match up, because even if it is in the round and it's a pattern, some designers will tell you it's going to be off. Others just say try and match as best as possible, but on a vintage pattern that was flat, it just said knit 2 at the ends. But as I did increases, I would have had just a massive wodge of white going up. So I thought I'd be clever and add my extra little bunnies into the side, which on sleeve number 1 turned out okay, because obviously it's here. Not really many people are going to look at the underside of my arm. And here I can do a duplicate stitch bunny. But sleeve number 2, I tried to be really clever and actually just was not. And I completely misread my own notes and started adding this extra bunny, 5 rounds, like 5 bunnies, too late. So I've got this huge ugly wodge where I was trying to catch my floats and thinking, strange, I don't remember this happening on my other sleeve. Because it didn't, because I didn't mess it up. So I have to do a lot of duplicate stitch to fill in those bunnies. So it looks really ugly, and I messed up the bunny count. I still had 3 bunnies, but they're totally off center. And also, and I'm praying to the blocking gods, they will sort this problem out. For some unknown reason, I decided to just really pull my stitches tight every time I changed needle. I did do it a little bit on this one. So this has only been blocked once and not really aggressively. So I'm hoping I can, this seam almost where I changed needles, this I'm hoping will flatten out with a little bit of aggression. But this one looks so terrible. And I am, yeah, praying to the blocking gods that they will sort this out. And only about, I say I fixed it, but it still looks basically the same. Look at that. That's just ridiculous. Oh, so this is bothering me, but I'm, yeah, as I keep saying, I'm really hoping it goes and flattens it out. And I tried a little bit more here not to pull the floats, and it's slightly better, but I don't know if it's just, I don't know, it's just me. I am just not, magic loop and sleeves always annoys me because I always make it too tight, and if I don't pull the stitches, I get a ladder, and if I pull it really gently, it puckers up and does this huge seam. And if I pull it really tightly, it obviously makes a much, much bigger seam. But no matter what I do, I get this ugly seam. So everybody, when I'm blocking this, cross your fingers and toes that it will be saved. The other side looks horrible, but it will improve. And anyway, nobody cares. If anyone's looking at the underside of my arm, they are too close. here is where I forgot to add the extra bunnies. And can I? So yeah, duplicate stitch will happen after I've blocked it. And then I added the bunnies, and somehow I've just done them in a weird place that means the increases are in the middle, and I don't know. But it's fine, it's fine. I'm not really a perfectionist. I'm really enjoying the knit, and I love the fact that I'm knitting a vintage pattern, even if I'm adjusting it. I don't have a problem with knitting things in a different way. I know a lot of people who are very, very into vintage get annoyed if somebody knits them in the round or somebody knits them top down instead of bottom up or whatever. But it's my knitting. I can do whatever I want and I want to knit them in the round, and I will. I'm already there actually. I need to go flat now on the sleeve, but I couldn't concentrate on that when my mum was here, so I put them on hold. Oh, here is another gift for another lovely knitting friend that I actually met up with in real life, so hello! She gave me this super cute Festive stitch marker. Don't know if you can see it. Oh, she also gave me these earrings, these little cute mushroom earrings. And you guys are so lovely. I love you very much. So that is my sleeve. I will come to that maybe today. Maybe. I was originally, because I'm insane, originally I was aiming to get 2 rounds of bunnies done on my jumper a day. Like a red and a green every day. That does not happen because I really underestimated how many stitches are in a jumper. I'm lucky if I get 1 bunny a day. So there are 3,800 stitches in 2 bunnies. And I don't know why I thought it would be more motivating to know how many stitches were in there, because that's really off-putting. That is a lot of stitches. And it takes me... It kind of depends if I'm not a fast knitter and I don't knit for long periods of time. So it takes me roughly an hour just to do the 1 one round on the jumper. So it's about... Yeah, but yesterday I only managed half of it and it took me an hour. So it's probably between 3 and 4 hours for me just to knit 2 of those bunnies go around. So it's not a fast knit, but it's a fun knit. And I'm going to try and finish the bunny round I didn't finish yesterday. And then I'll do this sleeve, because then at least I can think I've done 2 sleeves and not I've done 1 sleeve, a little bit of that and some here, and it might make me feel more motivated. Tea break. According to the pattern, which I'm not sure what their row gauge is, so I just have to do a little figuring out, but I should only have to repeat the bunnies 2 more times and then separate for the sleeves. So that's encouraging, but I do have to check. I cannot remember, so I must take my handy measuring tape. Cannot remember how long I need it to be from my underarm to the bottom of the ribbing. I think I might have a longer waist proportionally than I thought, or is average, because a lot of times things, although I'm a short person, my underarm or my bust to my waist to my hip is actually quite long, so I do sometimes have to make my jumpers longer in order for them to be cropped. A little bit like my Valkyria cardigan. That one is still too short, but I don't have enough yarn to make it longer. It's perfectly fine to wear it. It's just every other one of my cropped jumpers or even just t-shirts or where my clothes like this skirt, where they sit, there's about that much, like an inch, 2.5 centimeters more fabric. So you can see the t-shirt I'm wearing, or you can see the other jumper I'm wearing underneath, just underneath my Valkyria cardigan. And I already made that about 8 centimeters longer, or 5 centimeters, I can't remember. I made it significantly longer than the pattern, and it is still too short. So definitely have to make sure that I make this one longer. My chevron jumper, the green one, I used these, that one had a bit of a drama, and I ended up taking off the sleeves from the original jumper and turning the sleeves into the body of the new jumper, which I have finished a while ago and I love and is beautiful. And yet, because the sleeves, the ribbing on the sleeves is less than on the jumper, in my mind when I was knitting it, I thought, okay, I have knitted blah amount of centimeters, it's good to finish and separate the sleeves, etc. And that also could do with being a little bit longer. So I must make sure that this one is long enough. Especially because it's a winter jumper. It's for Christmas. I need it to be longer. Okay, I will take a small tea break, and then I will talk about some of my new to me, new into my life things. Most are old. They're my grandparents' things or vintage things. And then also, well, I've already told you actually about my happy mail from 2 of my friends, but there is one more. So back in March, my lovely granddad passed away, and he had a few jumpers that my mum thought, I'll give them to the charity shop, but I fell in love a little bit. So I took them via her. She just brought them over when she visited. Unfortunately, the one that I love, after she washed it and put it in the freezer to get rid of moths, because she did find a moth hole, I have discovered it is falling apart. I don't know if it was nibbled by anything, but I think it's just about 20 years old, mix of wool and acrylic, and it's just on its last legs, but it's such a cool jumper. Hopefully you saw that, because I covered my face. It's such an amazing jumper. I love these colours and I love the pattern, but it is filled with pulls out threads and a lot of the gold. They're kind of a metallic gold and a metallic red yarn in here, and they have just started going poof and disintegrating, which then means there's a knit stitch missing, which then means there's a run. And I did start throwing in every stitch marker I had to try and catch them. There's a stitch marker here, there's some stitch markers down there, desperately trying to save this colour work. I am not sure that I will be able to manage it, but I'm thinking, and some of you may know where I'm going with this, I am thinking I might recreate this jumper. I would like to buy some yarn and then use that yarn to attempt duplicate stitch to fix where I can see it thinning. But if I notice that it's really just not going to work, I like the idea that I still have the yarn. I could make the jumper from scratch, but I'll hand knit it. Don't know how many stitches it is. I've never recreated a jumper from another, but it could be fun. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's roughly 7 stitches per 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch. that is doable. And it would be fun to get some maybe Shetland wool, maybe Spindrift, I don't know, any ideas? Maybe some Norwegian, maybe Rauma Finull yarn. That could be good. And these colours, I just love them. So I'm thinking maybe Rauma now. I'm thinking that would be good. And to recreate this jumper. It's originally from Marks and Spencer's. Good old Marks and Sparks. St. Michael from Marks and Spencer. So there, that's what I want to do. And I am still wearing this, just wandering around with stitch markers. It's just such a nice jumper. And my husband, I gave him the other jumper. And if you've been here over the last couple of Christmases, you'll know I've been trying to make my husband a jumper. And I cannot find a colour that works on him. He looks kind of ill when he wears black, and his hair is black, but he is quite pale, so it looks very stark and he just looks a bit ill. But I've tried red and I've tried green, and I feel like he's got kind of green eyes, but his eyes change colour all the time. So I may regret saying this. When I met him, I had recently read Twilight, and oh, I feel so silly. In that book, they would say that if the guy had black eyes, then he was like ready to feed. But when he had gold eyes, he had recently fed, and on humans because he's a vampire. And my husband loves the dark, and he used to wear black leather coats, and he was kind of quite pale, and this is when I met him. And we met up and he had black eyes, so I thought he had black eyes. And then I went over a couple of days later and he genuinely had gold eyes. And I was really freaked out. Oh, I feel so silly. So he can have the greenest eyes, like emerald green. He can have black eyes. He can have brown eyes. He can have gold eyes. And once he's had blue eyes, and it's really difficult to match a colour because they all, yeah. He basically just doesn't suit any colour, really, I thought. And then my granddad, who just lived in beige, he loved himself some beige. He had this oatmeal colour. I'll try and put a video or a picture. He had this oatmeal coloured cabled jumper. And I would never, ever, ever have even considered putting my husband in oatmeal yarn colour. I thought he'd just look pasty and sickly. He looks so good in oatmeal, which is great news for me because then I can buy some natural Rauma Finull yarn, like the undyed or just this natural colour, and knit a whole jumper in that. So I'm really excited for this. And he had asked me, if you make me a jumper, can it be a bit more interesting? He doesn't like just plain knit stitch. It turns out he loves the purl stitch. So then I thought, that's fine, I can do that. I can knit a whole jumper like that. And then I found out he ordered himself a jumper online, and it was a mixture of purl on the front and then like a fisherman's rib or brioche style ribbing on the back. So he loves brioche, fisherman's rib and purl. Everyone's favourite things to knit for a man. I'm meaning like his clothes are a lot bigger. But you know, I love him, so I can do that. I can bring myself to this. But then he got this lovely jumper from my granddad, and it has these gorgeous cables that go down the front, and it's a seamed together jumper, and it fits him so well. So now I know circular yokes make him look weirdly like a pirate. I don't know why a pirate, just when I look at him in a circular yoke, he looks like he should be shipwrecked somewhere or a pirate. It just hangs very strangely on his body. Raglan jumpers, They do not fit him well at all, unfortunately, because the jumper I just finished for him doesn't really fit him particularly well. It's very high at the throat, like here, and really, really, really far down, like there, on his back, even though there are short rows. So I do have a plan to cut out the rib and try to do a short row ribbing at the back, make it bigger at the back, and then, yeah, not at the front, no short rows at the front. I just have to figure out if I'm supposed to, because the jumper was knitted top down, I'll rip out the ribbing and then I'll have to do the short rows bottom up, and I've never done that before. And I can't figure out if I should start the short rows long and then get shorter and then do a final round of knitting them all together, or if I should start them small and then make them bigger. I hope that makes sense. If any of you have any suggestions, please let me know. I've had two people tell me what they say, but they're opposing opinions, so I still don't know, and I haven't attempted it. But basically, that style of jumper doesn't really suit him particularly well, and for some reason that wool looks great on my jumper, but looks kind of weird on him. I don't know why. But the jumper from my granddad is seamed, and a seamed jumper looks really good on him. So I basically need to knit him a flat jumper, like my vintage knitting, but a male version. Oh no, more vintage knits. Oh, what a problem. So that'll be my next plan whenever I make him a jumper next. I'm going to make him a vintage jumper. Then all my worries should be solved. I would like to make a dropped shoulder because my lovely friend who gave me these earrings, she said drop shoulder should work on him because he's got quite big shoulders, but the rest of him is quite narrow, he's quite triangular. And a drop shoulder construction should be quite flattering. So I will give that a whirl at some point in the future as well. Wow, this is a very, very, very chatty video. Oh, this is heavy. So I got a few little things from my mum and from a friend in the UK. And I thought two of them are really cute. And one's funny and one's great. They're all great. My mum gave me one of those magazines. England has loads of crafting magazines. Germany, I can't find any. But then again, they're all in German, so maybe I don't want to find any. But you never find, I've never found any German crafty knitting magazines like the ones in England. And my mum got one in Tesco, I think, last month. And it came with this adorable book. I think craftworld.com, so perhaps it's Craftworld magazine. I'm not sure, I can't see the actual magazine anymore. But these are DK weight socks and they are ridiculously cute. There's a bear and a badger and a bunny rabbit, squirrel, beaver, raccoon. Oh. So these are now on my list of to-dos. This is from Signet yarn, I think. So I thought I'd show you that because they're so cute. I originally thought I'd do them in fingering weight yarn, but I might give them a whirl in DK if I have any. I don't actually own any DK, now I say that. But I'm not planning on socks right now, I have vintage knits to do, but I thought I'd show you that because they're super cute. And if you're in the UK, you might be able to get that magazine. And since I was going to say since I cut off my fringe, that doesn't work. Since I've grown out my fringe, which I am slightly regretting, all my hats that I have, my berets, just weirdly don't suit me anymore. So I'm thinking I might make myself a beanie until, you know, the time I cut my fringe in again. And this one, which is in, it was also an added, one of those extra books that they throw into those magazines. It seems to be issue 161, but I just have to figure out which book it is. Anyway, this is a really cute beanie. It's called a spruce beanie. So I think I might give that one a go as well because it's covered in trees and that is adorable. And one other thing. Here we go, Knit Now. That is the magazine. And it has some very cute things. I don't tend to knit from magazines because, as I said, we don't have them here, to my knowledge. But there are a couple of things that I think are really, really cute in this. But the one thing that I really liked for next year, maybe, I'm going to say this, I could be completely wrong, but I know that a lot of magazines have subscriptions and you can get these things online. So you might be able to get them online or as an app. How fun is this? Stockings! So I really, really want to make some stockings. Like really, really, really want to. But I cannot do it this year. I'm busy enough. So I must resist. But I am tempted. So if you're in the UK or know how to get access to magazine subscriptions online, then it's a fun little read. Then, when I was in the UK in, when was I there? May, I think? I went to a charity shop and I came across this book that I have been adding to my cart on Amazon and then taking it out and then adding it and then taking it out. I found this for £5. It is a tome. It is very heavy and I could not fit it in my bag. It's 2 kilos, I think, because I took it out of my bag so that I would not go over the limit, and then I had exactly 2 kilos of space that I could have filled. So I could have brought this book with me, but I did not. But I'm very excited to read this book. It's all about different types of fleece and fibre, obviously, going by the name. And I'm excited because I've already seen that Gotland fibre is mentioned in this book. And you know I love Gotland. So that's going to be a nice fun read for me. I'm very excited to read this. I've seen it a couple of times on people's YouTubes that are into spinning. So I think it's probably helpful to find out like how long the staple length of a fibre is. And I don't really know what else to say except I'm very excited that I found it. My mum also did not come empty-handed. She brought over some vintage patterns. Just a couple, but very fun. This one I'm very excited to try. I really hope this is focusing. And for any of you, because I know quite a few of you are not native English speakers that watch, just for clarification, the word gay and gay time used to mean like happy. So this is knitting in gay time, gay time wool. So that's why it says gay time on it. But they have some advertisements for their other knitting patterns on the back, and one of them is a rather dubious photo. I don't quite know why they think this is going to sell the garment, but apparently this is a model, what knitting models did in vintage era. Here. Strange, huh? Very strange. So I'm excited to give this one a try. And also this one my mum picked up because who does not want some knitted knee warmers? That's what you've been missing your whole life, right? Knitted knee warmers. And I just love this picture. There's an old granny in her chair. She's got a little bag filled with wool and her cat is sitting there on the floor playing around with the wool. She's got a fireplace roaring. She is a happy lady. Hopefully I can try knitting some of them because that sounds too fun. There's also some chevron style socks and a vest, although they call it a spencer. And I'm so confused with all these different words. I said to my mum it's a vest and she said no, it's a spencer. But a spencer to me, I've only ever heard it as a cardigan in Dutch. Yeah, there's just, everyone has a different name for everything. Like a jumper in English is a pullover, but in American English a jumper is like dungarees, which I think they call overalls. It's very confusing. So anyway, got some vintage knitting patterns to try out. I'm super curious what knee warmers will do. Will they really keep me warm? We shall find out. And one more thing, I haven't actually opened it up to look through it yet. But my friend Emma, she went to a charity shop and as she was leaving, she saw this, so she quickly grabbed it and bought it for me. Also very heavy. The Vogue sewing book. Whew, it smells like an old bookshop. I'm pretty sure it's from the 70s. 1971. So I am excited to have a read of this. So, copyright 1970. So the woman who owned it was... I can't read that. Somebody Williams. And it was only £4. And it has lots of information which I certainly need. All about adjustments for your shoulders, for shaping, for necklines, or for sewing. And I'm really excited to read it. I highly doubt things have changed that much, have they? I'm not going to go out and buy a brand new version when I have this beautiful, very smelly version. How do you get the smell out of old books? I can't put that back in there. Okay, I have 2 more things to show you that will happy now. My battery is running out and I look very, very flushed. This definitely feels like show and tell at school. I completely lied to you. I have more things to show you. I hope you are enjoying. First of all, my mum gave me this adorable little knitted basket filled with tiny, tiny skeins of scrap yarn. And little knitting needles. Oh, it's so cute. Obviously, absolutely no purpose, but we don't always need purpose. It's super, super adorable. So that's some decoration. I received some happy mail from America and she knows me. Again, I won't say who you are, but you know who you are. Thank you. She sent me some super cool mitten blockers. I have looked at mitten blockers and thought, oh, I'd really like to try them. But I've never made mittens that were traditional mittens, so I couldn't talk myself into it basically. But recently I have discovered some of my patterns, some Swedish patterns, they have the traditional mittens and I'm going to cast them on, and now I'll be able to block them. But in the meantime, I hang them up as decoration because they are so cool. And I love the fact that the thumbs come separately. So cool. And I recently watched another podcast and they weren't mentioning this exact product I'm going to show you, but they mentioned something else. And I'm now thinking, is this like a thing that I don't know about? The same lovely friend, knitting friend, who gave me these, sent me this. It's an emotional support chicken, which is just too funny. I've never heard of this before, but I watched a podcast yesterday and their son made them some kind of toy and she said it's my emotional support chicken. Is this a thing I don't know about? It's so funny. So it comes with the wool and it comes with the little bits to make the things. You know, the things. Waddle, comb and beak, Emily. That's the one. Safety eyes. And it should look like this. Oh, it's too funny. The packaging is so cute in itself. It has nutrition facts, which is inspiration, 100% of your daily value. Comfort, 100% of your daily value. It tickled me. The ingredients, meaning the contents. So funny. So thank you. I will eventually open that. Just at the moment, I just enjoy looking at it and going, ah, it's so cute. Multiple times a day. Do I have anything else? I have one more thing that I probably don't need to talk about, but it just makes me so happy. I have recently entered the world of ultimate granny. I am now getting things from my actual, not granny, but my neighbour is in her 80s and she's giving me stuff that she thinks is just so old-fashioned and so like old people stuff, and I love it and I am lapping it up. In fact, she gave me about 5 of her cups and saucers. This has cake on it, but can you see it? In Germany, and I'm going to say DDR times, but I'm not 100% certain of that because I don't know if it was in West Germany. But at least in East Germany, they had these Sammeltaschen, like collection cups, and everybody would have a different cup and saucer and tea plate. So it's a set of 3. And you would display them in your cabinets, and I've met some people who said you would never use them. You just line them up on your dresser and show people all of your collection cups. And I've met other people like my neighbour who said if you had friends come over, everybody would get their own cup and saucer. Anyway, she gave me a whole bunch of hers because she said I'm not going to wash them all up by hand because you can't put them in a dishwasher, and I'm not going to use that many cups and saucers, so I got them. But she also gave me a couple of tablecloths, and then I discovered embroidered tablecloths, and then I found some embroidered tablecloths when I was in Sweden, and now I just have embroidered tablecloth obsession. And I found this gorgeous tablecloth. I don't think you'll be able to see it. I might have to do an extra. Yeah, you can't. I will do some extra footage of this beautiful tablecloth. And I really want to try out embroidering on fabric. And I don't know what it's called, and I tried Googling in really vague terminology. Tablecloths with sewn holes. I know that it's a button stitch that you sew and then you cut out a hole for whatever specific pattern it is, but I don't know what it is. And then you can embroider around it. This one's a Christmas one, And I also got some matching napkins. I could have got 8 of them, but I don't need 8, and there's only 2 of us, and we're not going to use them as napkins, mostly because I can never get stains out of anything. I have stain remover, I have washing up laundry liquid, I use salt, I've used vinegar, I've used bicarb, like nothing ever gets stains out like turmeric and beetroot, which is what we eat. But I had to at least bring 2 home. And they came from essentially a charity shop, and they are also, a bit like the jumper, the gold thread has started to disintegrate on this one. It's pretty old. This one also, the gold is starting to disintegrate, but not too badly. Oh, this is what I'm talking about. This. What is this? I want to start doing it. So this is a very demure version. There's just this little bit up here, but the one here has it all over it, and I love it. And this one my mum gave me last year, and I've just found out recently it's actually Swedish. And they've got, woo, where are they? They're lighting their candles, and they've got beer brewing over here, and they're eating their rice pudding somewhere over here. So, you know, I'm delighted. I don't have a table, but I have an obsession with tablecloths now. This table to my side, to my left side here, is kind of functionless. It's basically there just so that I can put this newfound obsession of tablecloths onto it. And I'm trying not to put anything else on it, because this is a spare table that doesn't need to be there at all, but it is hiding the boxes of yarn underneath it, and that is now a decorative table just to show off tablecloths. But it's actually a very small table. So the huge tablecloths I have just get folded up. But yes, I am now thinking I would like to start embroidering tablecloths, because I used to do cross stitch and I did enjoy that, but I always find like there's no purpose, and I struggle to spend a really, really long amount of time on something for no outcome. I know it's still enjoyable to actually sit and take time and craft, but me personally, I like to knit a pair of mittens because I will be warm at the end. I like to knit a hat, I'll be warm at the end. I like to sew so that I can have a skirt that matches whatever. When I make these tiny little cross stitch things, I don't have anything to do with them, and I don't know where to put them, or I might start making them and adding them to project bags or something, but I like the idea of embroidery right now. So that's a new thing that may be happening in 2024. Okay, everything is clear. I have shown you everything. I have wiped out my battery. I've spoken for a bazillion hours. So if you made it this far, thank you. I'm very enthusiastic to show you all the things, like I'm at school and I want to show and tell. I am potentially doing a bit of Vlogmas. I don't know if I'll call it Vlogmas. I don't think I will do it every day, because lots of you, and thank you, lots of you were very enthusiastic that I would do Vlogmas again, and that makes me very happy, because I'm never really sure like if anyone actually wants to watch it or not, and it was very nice to know you do. I just don't think I can do it every day because I'm going to the UK the second week, and I won't be able to upload when I'm there. I won't be able to edit because my laptop is here, and I think it just might be better if I combine the week together and just do one video. Also, the algorithm might like me better, because last time I let's make it up. I had 1,000 views on a normal video. Then I did a Vlogmas and got like 60 views. And then YouTube went, oh, nobody wants to watch your videos. Okay. And then didn't show it to anybody for the next one, which was really depressing. So I might just do maybe 4 or 5 and spread them out over December. I have a few ideas of what I want to do that could be fun. It's just I'm very good at planning what I want to do, but actually executing it is not always as easy. So we shall see what happens, but hopefully I make something fun that you'll want to watch and do some crafty things. It may be Craftmas. Maybe I'll call it Craftmas. But yes, you can see that in a couple of days or a couple of weeks. Anything else? I think that's it. I've talked so much. I need more tea. So thank you very much for watching. And if you want to follow along in between my episodes, I am on Instagram as emilykatemadethis. And I think that's everything. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!